When we last left Tyrannosaurus Spitfire here on the last video, we were still sanding and carving and hacking and truing up ribs, and we're certainly going to pick that up soon. But first we want to go to the mail. And the mail, as always, has a lot of interesting little stuff in it. I got a nice set of pictures from Lee's self and his dad now. This looks like, I'm trying to read the caption, it's got a double star 60 in it. It definitely looks like the one I sent Lee, a molded top block. And he's going on and on in a letter about how much snow there is out there. No kidding. Now, Lee and his dad have made a few Cardinal kits. I'm not sure how many, but it certainly looks like this might be one of them. And I remember him sending some video of buffing this guy out, so maybe it's not the same one, it's just the same color. Lee, you got me good and confused here. He writes a letter like I do, it just hodgepodges all over the place. And the one important thing you need to know, it isn't in there. Lee, you're in big trouble. Now this is funny, I'm reading from his letter. He says, since he's been known to crash from time to time, this model has a black box in the cockpit. So after a crash, they can go and pull out the black box and find out whose fault it is. I don't know, it looks like an orange box to me. Anyway, really nice letter, a lot of nice pictures. Let me just get these on tape. Now he's got a twin-engine Pathfinder. Look at this, 2 twins they have. Now here's an idea. Somebody asked me the other day, I don't know who it was. We wanted to make a twin Brodak Cardinal with 2 19s. Woody Midgley was the one. Wants to make a twin Cardinal. Hey, we may see some cool stuff this summer. Lee Self's dad, a 58-ounce original. Check out the snow, Lee. I'm glad we missed it this year. Leave all the snow in Montana. This is a war now. Now the caption on this is Lee and Dad's new ships for '98. Hey, they both look great, Lee. And Lee, I love the twin. We're definitely going to have somebody out there make a twin Brodak Cardinal. Midgley, Woody, get started on it right now. And a little secret tip, now don't tell anybody down in the Philly area that I told you this, but Steve DeGiulia just got 2 sets of plans to the Mosquito, so Aaronstein, you're going to have some company up there in the Warbird row. Anyway, twins. Just thinking of something here. Had anybody ever thought about making a triple? 3 engines. Anyway, we're getting dizzy already doing mail. Anyway, gotta go shovel some snow. Lee, thanks for the pictures. Appreciate it a whole lot. Believe it or not, it did snow today. There's some nice pictures from Jack Young, Whittier, California. This is a super Kestrel he made. We've had pictures of this on the video before. Hey, check this out. Hey, Jack, I gotta tell you, I love birds. Been feeding these birds at the back. Check these nice, looks like he's got budgies. Jack, tell us what they are. Man. Anyway, he's from Whittier, California. And I think he's going to be building a 660 Stiletto, as far as I know. Look at the flying field. Well, I'll tell you, I can't tell you how much I'm dying to get out to the flying field. Jack, if you had any idea what life here in the Big Apple, the big snowmobile was like this winter. And thanks a whole lot. We'll be passing these on to Stunt News as always. And hey, it's good to share the hobby with you. Thanks a lot. Now this is a funny story. Rory Tennyson and I bet you Rory's got 100 videos by now. We've been going back and forth. He sent me a lot of nice gifts in the last month or so. We've had some crushed stuff in the mail thanks to the New York Post Department, but he said basically that he's getting sick of listening to the junky music I play. Well, really, I gotta tell you, I like all music. I've said this before. John Brodak sent me 100 tapes. More, there must be more than 100. I have Ken's crazy music, and Karen brings me opera tapes, and I guess I'm just a sucker. This is a great tape, though. It's playing in the background now. And thanks a lot, Rory. Hey, we got to get sanding and cutting and bell cranking and nailing, and life is busy. And of all things, the furnace broke today. We just can't win. See, I guess music is just like judging stunt, just like judging the concourse. It's in the eye of the beholder. Hey, good music, though. I really am enjoying this. Something different. Oh, there's always that really wonderful first day of spring, and today is the day. Believe it or not. You can see what we've had to do is take about half of the water out of the pond, clean it, defumigate it, get all the plants out. And this is a lot of work, but boy, this is really a lot of fun when it's all in bloom. Get a look at it now, because once it's all in bloom, hey, my fish are in there. You can't even see them. The water's so dirty from the winter. Anyway, Kenny took a couple more baby fish for his little fish tank, so these are all nice water plants. But hey, the reason I wanted to put a couple minutes of this on video, we're back to working on our stove. The stove from hell. Look at this guy.
You want me to take
it? No, you won't even see that. You won't even see that. That fits inside the door. I have to paint the door yet. I want to get the brass screws and start putting this together. They're all brand new brass screws. We did a little layout mock-up after one coat of paint was on, just to see, because some of these parts get painted green. Like the door gets painted green. I shake that up and we'll see what that looks like. And all of these parts, we don't know if we're going to be able to paint them gold or not. Restoring something this old is, well, labor of love is not the right word. I have to tell you, if you think I'm kidding, and this is really why I'm putting some of this on a tape, this is Rust-Oleum Appliance paint, and you can't believe how nice this looks. With only one coat, I am even amazed. They're going to put me out of business here. This really does have a nice gloss. It dries up in about a half an hour. And we've been able to match the original Stewart colors pretty accurately anyway. We're going to have all new brass screws when we're all done here, all new hardware. And what we're going to try to do is the back of it, this is going to be a breakfast bar. The back part is going to be a wine rack. So say, look, I know there's women out there that have to endure watching these videos. Hey, see, life is more than just Rust-Oleum. Anyway. Now this is the part nobody wants to do. You can see I got the wire brush in the drill, and I got one of those things that I got for Christmas to try to knock some of this grit off before I paint it. See, this is that little thing we got for Christmas we're going to try using on getting some of the heavy rust off of these parts before we paint them. Too bad they don't have a concourse stove award. Maybe we'll get one at this year's Nats. Whoop. Anyway, looking forward to trying some of these new tools that I got for Christmas, and that's one of them. These parts really is literally a lot of work going into grinding these down. Maybe a couple of days worth until. After about 4 hours, how long did it take to do this? 40 minutes? And not quite an hour. Okay, well, and actually what we found out was the little Dremel tool was the best thing for scratching it up. It was even better than an orange brush. All right, it's getting dark. Bring the rest of the parts downstairs, and that'll probably be it for today. Yeah, just let's get it scratched.
I don't think
This is fun. Anytime you want. Come on over, I'll let you refinish your parts. By the way, this orange wheel works great. This gives you an idea how quickly this comes up. Yeah, that Dremel tool cuts right in there. Much better than that orange pad. Tell you, this Rust-Oleum appliance paint, absolutely beautiful. And it's coming together. Maybe another day or two. The green dried up nicely today. And this gold is just spectacular. And today I had to make some real precision cuts on this. I have to tell you, we got this saw for, Karen got it for me for Christmas, and I have really gotten good use out of it. This is an excellent value in tools. Even if you're making airplanes instead of stoves. Yeah, we've been working all day, all night. In fact, little by little, you can see the fish are coming to life here. Little by little. We even had a frog. We found a frog in here before. One frog survived out of 12. Where the hell he is? Anyway, but another day. Check this out. And you think, anybody who doesn't think I'm a workaholic, look at this. It's already way past anybody who's saying it's bedtime. Got this guy put together. I'm putting on the side brackets. George gave me a hand before. Getting ready to make up the wine rack. And these are the pieces that go in there to hold up the glass. Anyway, if you don't think this is a labor of love, Karen came home from work. She was so happy. She just couldn't believe how happy this stove was making her. And everybody knows how much I love Karen. Look at this. A lot of work. Even a door, two-tone door, got the original Stewart emblem on it, and about 8 million more brass little screws and things to put in here, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this thing in one piece and getting back to the world of model planes. Closing in on having it done. I think it's really going to be a nice little focal piece for our new kitchen. Is we lined the hole inside of this with 3/4 plywood because of course it needs to be real solid, and that worked out real well. And then to the end of this there's going to be some brass supports when these all get tied in, giving it a real nice look. And then of course when it's all done we have to order up a piece of special cut glass with a bevel edge. The first time every year that we open up the pond, which we did this last weekend, I get to see the fish swimming around again, and oh man, I'm telling you, if you never had a pond, you don't know how relaxing it is to just sit out here at night. And the other part of it, you don't know how much work it is. You gotta clean this damn thing out. It was 2 days of solid grunge, munge, hip boots. But tonight I'm gonna sit out here, I'm gonna order up a Domino's pie. Sit out here like a king on his throne here, and my subjective fish here. They really are fun. Karen and I really do enjoy this. And I'm glad I can share it with you. Life truly is more than just model aviation. But model aviation is nice too. really don't know what it is about fish that's so relaxing that at the end of I don't know, the end of the day's work, it's just nice to be able to sit out here and check out all my guys, see how they've done over the winter. Looking for that frog. He was out here before. There's just something special about fish. I just don't know what it is. I'm really not sure myself. When the water is about 3/4 clear, we expect, hope. Look at the black moor. He's about doubled in size since last year. He's like a Burton, a black Burton. Yep. Like a sharp back. As Jimmy Durante used to say, kind of hard to put it in words. See you tomorrow. Well, we thought for a split second today we could get a couple flights. I run over, load up the car, get everything ready, and by the time I had everything loaded up, the wind is blowing 60 miles an hour, so we definitely don't want to jeopardize this. We're going to wait for the weekend. Track, we got Kyle Freeman and Joe A. and Bob Martens. Hopefully we're all going to get down there Saturday and get some flying. Well, I guess that's a good point when you know you have a new plane and you're itching to fly, obviously, but sometimes patience is the best thing. Anyway, being we're not going to fly, I got a little bit of time left here. Oh, look at that stove. Look at that stove. I got all the brass pieces cut. We're ready. Well, I've been trying to lay out the wine rack. The only problem is I only have one wine bottle. Maybe I should make a WD-40 rack. Trying to lay out the wine rack, but this is not the real glass. I just used that to kind of level this off. And by the way, I never figured that I would need some special copper glue to glue these pieces together. So this basically is just down here so I can show Karen when she gets home from work. It's wine rack time. Even when you can't go flying, you can always make a wine rack. Yeah, we're in the heart of beautiful downtown Carlstadt at the Venturini shop, right in the industrial park. The new home of Aerosmith Model Aviation now, with the Kyle Freeman paint job on the walls. I wanted to sneak up on this old geezer. I like my old van. It's still in one piece, believe it or not. See if this bozo's running around in his underwear or something. Look at it. His professional job, he has Aerosmith. Look at this Nobler. Woo!
Wow.
Looking good.
Like a real shot before I come in.
Yeah, real work. That looks nice. You just have it laying out there, huh?
It's just laying on here. I was trying to get the spacing and the angle and all that stuff the way I wanted it to be.
Well, you don't have to worry about the thickness because they'll just bury this in clear on the top. You don't have any ordinary amount of paint on this yet anyway.
So there are, well, anyway, I was thinking
Spell Brodak, man. It's A-C-K. Gotcha!
I didn't get anything.
Look at this thing up on a wall. Look at this Brodak Nobler made out of 3/4 inch. You know, you got to give that to Sabatino for his next profile Cardinal.
Yeah, stick a foam wing in it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that looks nice. I like that. What's
Well,
wrong with white? White,
white what?
outlines. Oh, yeah, you can see it with the yellow. No, the shadowing looks real good.
Well, I don't know. I don't, whenever you're finished videoing, we can talk about this, but I'm not sure that this is quite the way to go.
How you been cutting the letters out on one of the soft sheets, cardboard?
I use this self-healing pad
Yeah.
from Tower Hobby or something.
I want you to make another set of these, the video stove. Brodak's video stove.
I'm not
That stove is, I could have built a Spitfire in the time I'm spending on that stove. It's really looking good.
Cut all these out from scratch. I
Yeah.
have no voice today.
Yeah.
She was hollering at the stove. She wanted her wine rack finished tonight, and 3 trips to Home Depot today. It was going to be the 4th trip in about 10 minutes.
There's a wine rack in the stove?
The box is there, but I don't have the wine rack in it. I ran out of wood.
Well,
I like it better with the blue.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother recutting them. I would leave them just double like that.
okay. And then the question becomes, going around here with a pinstripe or something.
Nah.
Question going around with a pinstripe.
You can go around with a pen with white ink, but you're going to be some artist to do that.
This stuff's gonna fade like.
Yeah, but you're going to fade pretty soon too, you know? Nothing lasts forever. No, I think if you just do this is going to look fine. I think if you try to make it too busy, and it's going to get too crazy. This has a look of something nice and classic. And I like you leave that blue, that's nice. Don't go ahead and leaving it red.
The AMA numbers will have to go on white Letraset or something.
I just got white Letrasets from Tom Light today. I just got white ones, so don't worry about it. You can make AMA, something on the flaps. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Mr. Stove. Thanks, Kyle Freeman. By the way, Kyle, check out your ceiling here. This is great. Unbelievable. Look at this shop, I'll tell you. Kenny, you're okay. I don't care what Kyle says about you. I got to take my chop saw. I got to do the saw. Oh, got to finish that stove. Get back to modeling. Now, I know everybody is probably good and sick of watching me make Nobler Cowlings, but again, my philosophy is you always should be in the learning curve, always in the learning process, always trying to upgrade your techniques. And today, I opened up the mail. Ed Gallagher sent me 2 more really informative videos, and they basically comprise molding a carbon fiber car body for a college that was trying to set the world's record for mileage, 1,000 miles a gallon. It's a super nice video, and in fact, there's 2 videos. I'm going to try to make a copy to loan anybody out that it would really be interested in looking at this. Or, of course, you can get them right from Fiberglass if you want to own them. Both of those are good quality companies, by the way, Fiberglass. And Ed Gallagher, needless to say, has been a big part of everything that we do with Fiberglass. He's been real informative, helpful. And I noticed another package of his in today's mail. We probably got 2 actually we got 2 in one day here. But anyway, I wanted to bring up a point. As I'm watching this video, I'm learning as I go. These people, now these are the professionals of the industry. These are people actually holding classes, teaching people for $300 a day how to make composite parts. These people are having exactly the same problems I had. In fact, they screwed up the mold 2 or 3 times. They had to change materials halfway through making the plug. They basically ruined the mold a couple of times. They basically have had the same problems that I've had. And you know what makes me feel good is they're doing it, of course, in a big industry. Anybody that's familiar with cars knows that everything to do with automotive racing and things is multi-million-dollar. We're doing it in a smaller way. but we're still doing exactly the same thing. We're still trying to make a reasonably nice part at a low price, a reasonable price, without having to invest in thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment and material. And basically, when I look at I'm watching it right now, you can hear it play in the background. When I watch a video like this, I usually watch it 2 or 3 times to make sure I haven't missed anything. And then I'll always make myself a copy for my library, so that if a year from now goes by, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, and I want to go back and get some information off it, or if somebody wants to borrow it. I mean, it's the sharing of the information here that's significant. And even though my first choice would be, if you had the money, would always to be just get fiberglass original copy videos and make a library, add it to your library just for informative purposes. And in my case, the video library goes into the hundreds of technical videos and things that I have, Spitfire videos, of course. But the point is, I'm watching this, I'm watching it over and over again, and I feel real good because they have had the same problems destroying molds, and they switched materials. They couldn't get the Bondos to sand out right, so they went to plaster. It's a real informative thing. And that's the point, too, with any of these jobs. You shouldn't be discouraged. Early in the learning curve, you know you're going to have little Mickey Mouse problems, just as we did. But now we're at the point where actually, if I have time later today, I'm going to make even another nobler cowl that I think is going to be one step up with a polished finish on it from this one. And this one is certainly generating nice parts. But always to upgrade, always to upgrade. It never stops. You're never finished. You're always trying to upgrade things. I want to just thank Ed Gallagher for these videos. These are certainly some of the best I've ever seen. When you look at step by step, it's absolutely no different than the problems we've encountered, except they're doing it on a much bigger level, a financially more involved level. We're trying to make relatively inexpensive parts. They're making a part that's probably cost a tremendous amount of money. But anyway, excellent, excellent information. This is the only part of the video. Now he's making the lower shell and the upper shell here. Again, if you have any interest in this, there's always something you can apply to your own modeling program. Always something, and I'm always glad to share any of the videos that I have in stock.
Leaks during vacuum bagging, except for hand sanding with finer paper.
Now just a shot of the new mold. We're going to pour the rubber tomorrow. I'm letting some PVA dry on it. This is the one that we've got functioning now on a regular basis. But again, we're trying to make each one even better. You can see this one has put a little more polish into the surface, and I put a little bit of extra PVA just to see if this would make for a nicer finish. Now, these are the 2 videos, and this is the little car that they're making, the shells. But again, if you have an interest in this, it's very difficult unless you have a source of somebody willing to help you or a video to help you. The education in this case is very difficult to come by unless, of course, you work in the industry. By the way, I want to put the address, and I would, even though I got these from Ed Gallagher, these are an excellent value. By the way, it's a good idea. Just pick up their catalog, get their catalog. Couple bucks, I think you can even call them for free. Information, they're real helpful dealing on the phone. I've bought quite a bit of material from them. They've always been very pleasant and very business-like. Again, quality information, quality. And we're going to try to put some of this to use in the near future. Now, Ed also sent some samples. These are really, really super. I've had some of these from the body shop supply place before. They sell these for doing sanding. What it is, you can do contour sanding with this. It kind of holds a curved shape. In fact, sanding a nobler cowling is excellent. It comes in different grits. You can get it from 3M. Again, you know what I really appreciate? It's hard to define this. Is the friendships that you make in this hobby, the people that help each other make these hard-to-make parts. This is the part of the hobby. This is what separates this from maybe the people that are involved in other things where you don't have this level of cooperation. And all of these things that we do, they're difficult to do. They're difficult enough when you have somebody helping you. And it's really nice, especially from Ed and people like Ed, that have contributed a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money into this program. this is, it came in an envelope. This is some really nice cloth. Now, if you know anything about the weave, it's getting the weave real tight on cloth that makes it really, really strong. It's just the tighter you can make the weave, the stronger the ultimate product is going to be. Now, I'm going to cut off a piece of this and run a sample. I don't know, maybe I can make a nobler cowling with this. It certainly looks like you can. I don't know if you can put, this is what, 2 ounce? 3 ounce. Well, you could glass the middle of a wing with this, you'd never break it. This is really nice stuff. Again, he sent in some technical articles on making shells. This is the kind of stuff I like to add to my library. Ed, of course, has a library. Excellent information, and I'm always looking forward to being able to share it with people, for people that are into this and they really want to get their modeling skills improved. Now, this is Phlox, and again, this is from Ed. We'll definitely give this a try on one of our cowling mock-ups, especially now that we're going to have 2 cowling molds. It's used as a thickening agent to get corners nice and tight. I'll need to read this over, of course. Definitely going to give this a try. Again, I don't know, I know I say it too much, but that's how important it is to me. If you're doing this hobby and you're living out in no man's land and nobody's interested in helping you, you don't have any friends coming over, I don't know how exciting this stuff can be, but I know with all this interaction going on, it just tends to make it a lot more fun. And we'll be giving this a try too. By the way, I've heard of this. I've never had any. It's like a powder, a thickening agent, and it tells you how much you can add. Again, I'll have to read this over carefully. And one of the things when we're going to run up some nobler cowlings, or the next group of Spitfire cowlings, we'll definitely give this a try. More to come. Now, a real nice little set of pictures in the mail too. Bobby Hoyle's Hobby, they've been stocking Brodak stuff, my stuff. Real nice thing, he says, thanks for sending us John Batavia. He taught me to fly, and I'm doing inside and outside loops already. I'm hooked. Anyway, he sent a bunch of photos down. Problem is, most of them don't have a caption. I don't have any caption on a lot of these photos, but they showed, I guess, the local guys down in this area. And if I recognize any of them, I'll certainly let them know. And I'll send him a copy of this tape. Now, the only problem is, here's one. Strange half A with solid sheet center and half ribs, Norvell 049. Problem is, a lot of these people from far away, I don't know them by heart. So it's good if you do want your pictures on the video, put a little caption on Sterling, D8, converted, made a nice grass clipper. I did not understand incidents. So obviously he was somewhere in the learning curve there. My trainer, Dirty Birdie, basswood fuse based on Gotcha Moments, tip weight box, adjustable tank, OPS 40. See, this is what happens when you're early in the learning curve. Kind of cool, a bunch of half A's. And it's an excellent way to learn. If you can get Killer B half A with a Cardinal fin, if you can get John Batavia to help you learn how to fly, believe me, you'll be flying real soon. But it looks like he did the thing Ken did on a Nobler with the Jap tissue there. Colored tissue. There's another picture of it upside down. I'm curious to know if that was the way that Kenny did his. Jim Cook's Banshee. Hey, nice nose thing on the Banshee. Now we always enjoy seeing pictures from around the country, people we don't get to see. And by the way, John Batavia is one of my favorite people. Jim Cook's Little Satans. And you never have too many pictures. You just never have too many pictures. Mark Trower's Super Twister. And he says, look at the logo on the wing, a beta stunta. And 2 pictures, my Spitfire, a Sterling Spitfire. Well, that is the lightest body I've ever seen on a Spitfire. That is the Mark Zero, anyway. He said he was experimenting with DAP at this point in time. Well, you know, it's good if you ever... It doesn't matter how much you put on, it's how much you sand off. Anyway, thanks a whole lot for sharing a picture with us. We got a couple other things in the mail today, and then we'll get on with things. Now, Now, speaking of having nice, this is from Ed Prohaska. Tell me this isn't a great caption for a picture. Anyway, this is good captioning. Anyway, it is significant to have good captions if you want to see the pictures in Stunt News, because it's hard for me, if I don't know the plane personally, to come up with this stuff. Byron and Gary Hayes. Shown here is Gary's enlarged stiletto powered by an ST60. Imran finish. Ready for its first successful flight, fall of '97, Byron Hayes' rendition of the Mirage enlarged to 800 square inches, powered by an ST60. Looks like one of the Lou Walgas original designs. This photo was taken at the Topeka 1997 Fall Contest. It's ready-to-fly stunt ship made somewhere in Eastern Europe, owned by Gary Frost. Gary flew it in intermediate stunt without appearance points. It does a nice smooth pattern. Engine is a Discovery Retro. Rear exhaust 60, shipped with the model. I tried to buy one, but I had trouble communicating with the Czech distributor. You got to call Brodaksky. Brodaksky will definitely be able to handle this. Anyway, this is the model. Ready to fly. You can buy them from the Ukraine or wherever. Here's a picture of the guys chatting, in fact. An early 1997 meeting of the Orbiting Eagles Club, a club I helped start in '69. On the table is Wade Pearson's blue shirt, back to the camera, new stiletto 660, sorting a neat sig dope finish. That is nice. The 1997 Orbiting Eagles Fall Fun Fly at Seymour Smith Park in Omaha. Wade Pearson's stiletto is on a flight line. Copper trim ship in the background was purchased by me from Dick Byron at 1982 Lincoln Net. Set up for a Tiger 46. It was reworked in '96 to accommodate other engines. Shown here with new and very powerful Stalker 55, which was sold to Wade that afternoon. Currently flying with a Stalker 46 rear exhaust. Anyway, Ed, I appreciate it, and I hope you will consider subscribing to the videos, because we've been going back and forth a lot now, and I think you see there's a lot of good information available. Anyway, from Ed, and we hope you'll be joining us permanently from this point on. Thanks a lot. This morning I got a bunch of props from John Brodak in the mail. In fact, where's the other one? Some of these are relatively inexpensive props. And these are the APCs. Now I'm going by some of the experiences that other people like Rich Peabody have had with these, and they seem to feel that the APCs running high RPM is the way to go, but obviously, again, we'd like to have all the choices. But one thing about APC props, and I remember this from back running tune pipes when we were playing with these props, this is absolutely, you could absolutely shave with this. I'm amazed that nobody's ever cut a finger right off with these. Now, there may be some performance gain to having that, but believe me, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to dress those edges off, even though I use a chicken stick, before I even balance the prop. Let me suggest any nylon carbon prop. Again, a good old Bud McKnight sanding stick is a good choice, because you don't get your finger down in there. And I remember doing this a couple of times, and my finger would run. Nice sanding stick. And Rich Peabody gave me a couple of these props to play with and test. And again, what we're trying to do with this K&B 40 is come up with a real nice package. And there are always several options. Option one is you want to run it at a 2/4 brake, very low RPM. That always is the classic way, and the sound is very classic. And the other way, some engines tend to like to run at a higher RPM. They don't like to grunt and groan. And you can load them more. Now, I got a 10.6 3-blade, and I'm not so sure that engine's going to be happy pulling that much prop. A 10.6 3-blade is really the equivalent of about 11.5/6. It may be an overprop. But again, having all these choices, having them all balanced, I hope we're going to get out to the field this week. I've been trying to finish up all my loose ends, trying to finish up my stove. In fact, that stove is almost finished now. A couple more little details. We went and ordered the glass yesterday. Wine rack is finished. But believe me, just getting rid of those edges, if you don't do nothing else with an APC prop. Now I can rub my finger on there. Now I feel comfortable taking some smoother paper and just cleaning that edge up. Prop, I've done whole videos on props. A prop is kind of a personalized thing. A lot of people really enjoy the sound of a 2.4 brake engine like a Fox or a Tiger 60. A lot of people prefer the higher RPM. Well, you know, rather than getting involved in trying to change the whole hobby to suit your needs, just do what you want to do and what you're comfortable with. I like to get rid of these razor edges, though. I have to tell you, I've seen it. My own fingers have been chopped up with these things. And never flip these barehanded. Actually, they're not so bad. This one's not too bad. I don't have the prop balancer on right. Still a little heavy. Now, whenever it's heavy, I like to take the material off the back of the blade and take it off as far out to the end as possible. Taking material here isn't going to do a whole lot of good. Again, it's the time of year getting all these little details together. Or maybe get out to the field today and cut some lines. I can't cut lines in the driveway here anymore. There's too many things going on around the house. So maybe I'll get up there and cut the lines, get the handle set, so when we get to actually have a test day. And of course we need some weather, that's the biggest thing. I took too much off now. The material this is made out of, they call it glass-filled nylon. That's probably short strand glass-filled nylon would be a better name for the material. There's nothing dumber in my book than you wait for this perfectly good flying day, you get up to the field and the props aren't, oh there we go, props aren't balanced. Another thing with these props, you'll notice they have a perfectly smooth hub. Oh boy, is that an accident waiting to happen. And what happens, you need to so over-tighten them, and this just becomes a clutch face. It gets smoother and smoother. So I always have a little, these tools, by the way, are about 15 bucks, a little engraving tool. This is a tip that's worth its weight in gold. Takes you 2 seconds to do this. 2 seconds, that's a very cheap insurance policy. Now it's like a sunburst, so what happens, these little roughnesses or rough edges tend to interlock, and you don't have to tighten the prop anywhere as near as tight, and you also, it avoids that with a prop coming loose after the motor backfires or spins and this thing will come off, the spinner comes off and hits you in the nose or something. Very, very cheap insurance policy to do that. All props, all prop washers, all faces should be as rough as possible to get a good bite. Now, especially the back side, you notice the way these APC props are made. Let me just get this done. Now, this is a great idea. It saves a lot of material by not having to fill that cavity with the glass nylon. But look what happens here. You don't have any surface area, and that can be a problem. And obviously what you'd like to have is a surface area 10 times this amount. Well, you know, the engineers have outdone us. Having these surfaces rough is really, really a good idea. That'll really save you a lot of aggravation. A great tip. And this doesn't even matter if it's a wood prop. I don't know if I mentioned that. But whatever, just getting any surfaces that you're going to tighten into and compress and try to make a clutch face out of. Okay, one of the things, this is a Zingali 10.6. I got this from John Brodak. I want to see how these props balance. Now, you never can even assume that a prop's going to balance. Balancing it is the owner's option. But a 3-bladed prop's a little more complicated. You want to decide which is what actually is going to happen. Hopefully, is we'll take the weight off 2 blades and make them as light as the lightest blade ultimately. And there's a lot of ways to do that. But the first way is find the blade that's the heaviest of all. Right now we're looking at one blade that's a whole lot heavier than the other. I don't even need to go any further than that. I can see whichever one points down is going to be the heavy one here. I can start taking material off the back of this, but the first thing I'm going to do, because this is a nylon prop, before I even balance these. Now, you might want to scratch in a little number on a prop, 1, 2, 3. That always seems to help. But boy, get rid of these razor edges, no matter what. And of course, if you're going to test 3-bladed props, keep in mind a 3-bladed prop is a prop and a half. Everybody thinks, oh, you just put a 3-blade on, it doesn't make any difference. It's a 50% more load on the engine. And typically, engines that like 3-bladed props are more like the grunt and groan type. I just want to confirm which is the heavy blade here. It's real easy to figure it out too. And I'll just start taking material off the back. Get as much of it out as far to the tip as possible. I noticed in the catalog there's a lot more sizes of these. They must have come out with, this one is a 10.6. What we really should have probably, if this is a prop of choice, is probably a 10.5 would be a little bit better. Again, we're just going to go back and forth until we get this, that half of them, that any two of these, that one doesn't constantly fall right down. So no matter which way I put this blade wants to fall down. This is the dominant blade. So we want to get it that is not the dominant blade. And just keep taking some material off the back until they kind of come into an equilibrium. That's a big word. I didn't know I knew that word. After quite a bit of sanding, I gotta tell you, I'm kind of disappointed. This prop is not a little bit out of balance. This prop is so out of balance, I think if you ran this without balance in it, you'd really put some stress cracks in the plane or get a gas tank to start leaking or something. I'm going to be real careful with props. Now see, the nylon props are sometimes twice as heavy as a wood prop, so if a nylon prop is out of balance, it's twice the amount of thumping and shaking that's going on as when you have a wood prop. Again, this one is really taking a lot of time. The APC was a lot better. But as long as you balance it, as long as you're willing to take the time and energy to do this, the worst thing you can do to a plane is just go take a prop out of a box and put it on a plane. Now, even though that's better, that blade is still falling to the bottom. That blade always becomes the dominant blade that's pointing more or less in between 7 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So no matter what, before I go any further, I just have to keep taking material off this. This is going to be, in fact, I'll take the whole back of the blade and take it. There's quite a bit of material going to have to come off it. And I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper. But boy, this is so important. When you see people, especially on a profile, having terrible engine runs, vibration problems, bolts getting loose, 3/4 of the time you can narrow it down to not having a prop balanced properly, or having a wrong prop on a plane that the engine is laboring so hard it's just thumping and shaking and it's out of its power range. Again, you can see how much is coming off of that blade. There's a lot coming off. Now this is the blade I've been working on, and I haven't gotten it all the material off yet, but what I want to do is just get a rough reading of these two blades, which is the heaviest one, so I know obviously I'm going to have to take material off of two blades, and one blade will then be the lightest blade. So I can tell right now this is the lighter of the two. I don't know if you can follow through with this. This is going to be the lighter of the two blades all the time. So it's going to ultimately be these two blades that have to be dressed off. So of the two that are heavy, which is the one that's going to be the heaviest of the two? Whoops, it's the one we're still working on. So again, I just have to keep hammering away, taking material off. But what will ultimately happen is two of these blades will become as light as the third one. Okay, now I've got the two that I'm working on. These two are roughly equal. These two are roughly equal. I want to go to, oh no, see this is now the little bit heavier. So now I know these two are the ones I'm going to have to work on. I just hope anybody that buys one of these props or uses one, especially if you buy Bolly props need a lot of hand dressing. They're made, they're sent in a rough form. They're excellent props. They work excellently. But you need to hand finish them. You just can't take them out of the box and use them. And knowing how to do this is a big help. That's still heavy. That's heavy. So this is now my light blade and my two heavy ones. You can see as you sneak up on this, we're getting down to the home stretch. You want to always marry those two blades. This is still a little on the heavy side. A couple of swipes with the paper. Those two are now equal. Those two are okay. This one is a couple swipes of the paper on this one. I'll just radius the edge on this and we'll probably have it. Now a lot of times you'll go too far. In which case, let's say the two blades that we've taken material off, you've made this the lightest blade. Well then of course you have to just go back. You're always working toward the lightest blade. There's no other way that I know of to do it accurately. This looks like the heavier of the two by a bit. That looks like the heavier of the two by a bit. Okay, and the last thing, of course, I want to mirror the hub the same as the APC prop. I'd like to see it in all three stations kind of equal. That one needs one more swipe with the paper. You're always marrying the two heavy blades, trying to get them to the weight of the light one. Again, this took quite a bit of time. This took longer than I'm normally used to, but well worth the time, especially on a profile. And that one just needs one more swipe of paper.
You can see on this hub, and this is kind of another case of the engineers won, the beam counters won this battle. You should have this material should be solid on the back of this prop. You're losing all this surface area, which means you have to over-compress, over-tighten the nut, and the thing will have a tendency to come loose if you don't roll it.
But again, a little bit of effort, a little bit of knowing how to get around that problem, and I hope we've just added two props to our collection for testing at K&B 40 with. Let me tell you, I am so glad this project is nearing completion. This wound up taking a lot more time than I thought. The glass is on order and we've just put this away temporarily until the glass comes in, probably 2 weeks. I don't know if you can see the back is a wine rack. Obviously we don't have any wine. Anyway, this was a lot of work. Believe me. Concourse stove. But I guess it was a lot of fun too. We even have the oven knob. Well, it's spring in North Jersey. The forsythia are just starting to come out. Flowers are just starting to come out, and we're just starting to get leaves. Hey, motorcycles are even out. Starting to get some leaves on the trees. We got something special planned this afternoon. Check it out. Oh, I love the trees when they're all in bloom. All the way up. Now check this out. They're really doing something special here. I wanted to record this. I know Bill Mazzoni is going to love this. Bill, check this out. Not only the fish love it too, of course. They're building a little railroad village here right by the waterfalls. Outdoor garden railroad.
I've seen garden railroads, but I've never seen one running like this. Sounds like they don't have it finished yet. And you can see what they're going to ultimately have. It's going to go all around the falls and come out on this side and some kind of bridge in between. I guess they're making a bridge. Anyway, this really looks kind of cool. Look forward to seeing this all in operation. And all these little buildings and things they have. It's really, really neat. And of course, we always enjoy visiting the fish here. Now, I always talk about how important it is to have some inspirational ideas. Well, this is just one way to get them. I can picture maybe next year, certainly not going to do it this year, getting a nice garden railroad going in my backyard with some LGBs, some buildings. This could really work out too. But I'm always looking for ideas, and I just thought I'd share this one with you. And how nice it is that it just coordinates with the fish pond. See, here's a cool idea. They have the train run underneath a bench, and it keeps the rain off it. Isn't that wild? Look at this is actually making, maybe you buy these already built, making a bridge, goes across the whole pond. Hey, we look forward to sharing this with you when it gets it finished. Get busy. 2 bridges, 3 bridges, wow. Here. Actually, we only got 3rd place on Petrified. There's just something about coming home to the downtown streets of flowering trees of Rutherford. Spring is sprung. It looks like spring is finally here. Finally. Oh man, have we had a lousy winter? Am I glad it's over? Hey, and there's home. There's home at last. Now in today's mail, really nice stuff came today. Oh, let me see some of this. This is from Walt Brownell. This is a copy of From Tom Dixon's plans of, I'll spell the name of the ship, N-A-K-K-E, Naki. I'll read his little note. You had said you were not familiar with this classic model designed by J-U-H-A-N-I, Wani Carey, and flown at the World Champs during the early 60s. Naki translate into woodpecker, so my pilot is a hand-finished woody woodpecker. I'm using a Byron Barker OS-40 FP power plant, wing area 598 inches, fairly large for a 35 size ship. Now, needless to say, Walt is a top-level finisher in my book anyway.
And the neatest thing is his wife and him had matching to his outlaw outfits. So we look to see some matching outfits here, Walt. Anyway, hey, thanks a lot. And by the way, Walt is working on a future, I hope he is anyway, working on a future article for Stunt News covering a lot of the details of his latest finish. So we look forward to seeing that, Walt. Now also in today's mail, this is from Thomas Rounds. Tom's been watching a lot of videos, and I know he's getting something out of them. Enjoying them, whatever. Anyway, he sent down some real nice pictures. Now these are classic pictures. I'll read from his caption. Number 1 is Les McDonald at the King Orange around 80 or 81. It was very cold and we were all having trouble getting engines started. Now number 2 and 3 says, I don't know the people in these pictures or who owns the planes. They were taken at Winston-Salem, 79 or 80. Well, here's where my extensive information comes in. This is Ski Dombrowski's plane, and if you've never seen this plane, this is the predecessor to the Lacemaker. If you've never seen this up close, an awesome paint job, absolutely awesome. The other photo, now I'm just looking at, this is a pattern master, and if I remember right, I don't remember the fellow's name, but this was one of the very original fellows that made a pattern master, right from Big Jim Greenaway's original plans. It has the stiletto type fuselage, and I remember seeing this plane in Livingston, geez, in about 1980. Anyway, these are all old pictures. Anyway, the last one, and I'll read the caption. A P-40 built by Ray Luer from Orlando. This plane is 20 years old. Ray has gone astray in the last 4 or 5 years as flying RC. He's a good builder. He also has a P-47 that has a molded fuselage. He built about 8 years ago. Hey, Walt, hey, Tom, I gotta tell you, P-40, Adamusco and I love P-40s. Don't be surprised to see one of these in our near future. P-40 time. Now this came from Larry Ladd. I just wanted to show this real quick. I'm sure Bandrock is watching this. Look at the 3 views on this. Kind of cool. Now I don't know if anybody can read the caption. I'll read it. It says, Wendy, you said buy your this is Larry Ladd's grandson Nathan. You said buy your grandson a Brodak Nobler and I'll give him a cowl. So he got an early birthday gift. He also has one of my pet Fox 35s. But listen, Nathan, I got to tell you something. I sent you out 3 cowlings today, and what Larry said to send them is some ones with little defects, and we got plenty with little defects. Don't worry about that. And you can, if you cut them all up and chew them up, and I'll send you another one. Anyway, look at these photos. Hi, Uncle Windy. I got the kit. I need a cowl. Anyway, if John Brodak isn't watching this right now, John, I got to tell you, this is the future of stunt. Forget about all the nastiness. This is the reason we do what we do. But let me show you. Just to show you, remember that thing I just showed the 3 views of? Check this out. Nathan is working on this 319 McCoy powered BU-170 semi-scale. Bandjock, all I can say is, this kid is going to blow you away, Bandjock. You are history. Bandjock's always trying to come up with these unique things. Not even close. This is great. In fact, I'm tempted to send Bandjock some of these pictures. 319s. Look at this. Now tell me, if you didn't have a grandson like this, oh my God, I'm telling you. Nathan, Nathan, I'll tell you, if you make another picture like this, see this picture here? Here's that picture. If you make a picture like this and put, Wendy, send me a bell crank and horns, I'll send you a free bell crank and horns. I need the publicity. I'm not selling a lot of bell cranks today. Okay, Nathan had an education with the Dremel, thinning the plywood, and the engine nacelles. Anyway, look at the work. Now, just think about it for a minute before you make a conclusion like this. I mean, here's a young guy. I mean, this guy's like Mike Palco here. Non-standard pushrod horn connections, threading 440 onto the pushrod and securing with shake-proof nut. Anyway, let's take one quick Larry Ladd. I'm telling you, I am impressed.
Larry, I'm going to tell you something. I'll sponsor this young man gladly if he keeps sending me pictures, especially the pictures when this is finished. Larry, I'm absolutely impressed. I wish we could get some video of this off of Wings. I know I've seen this on Wings. Something, maybe I'm not thinking of the same thing, something similar to this. Some of these wild German things that never came to fruition. Is that a wild stunt ship? Banjack, eat your heart out. That's all I can say. Larry, thank you. Thank you so much. And Nathan, good luck. I'm going to take a little break from stunt. These pictures came in the mail too. We had gone away to Vermont for a weekend. A good friend of ours bought a summer house on 140 acres. Then he invites us to go up there to see his house. Well, he didn't really want us to see his house. What he did is he wanted help cleaning and polishing and shellacking and sanding and everything. So, of course, Karen, being the Wonder Woman that she is, she made us all some nice chili, and we had you can see the snow in the background. We did some serious bird watching with binoculars, and I don't know if you can see in this picture here, there's a clock with a bird, a different kind of bird on each hour, and it chimes with the sound of that bird, as if the birds were all on a clock. And here we're hanging up a fishing basket. This is in Vermont, about an hour out of Albany, and we hung all fishing lures on it. We don't have a picture of the finished product, but I can tell you one thing. At the end of this weekend, I worked 3 days. This is what I looked like. And look, I'm always the one taking pictures of Pat Travers or somebody snoring and sleeping. They said I was sawing logs for 2.5 hours after doing all that work. Anyway, just thought you'd enjoy that. Now you may be thinking the pilot in last year's Seafire was about as detailed and realistic as they get. Well, this one looks pretty good too. This came from Giorgino, and this is, again, he's contributing this into our new I-beam Spitfire plan. Look at the detail on this guy. Made the Mae West, made the little oxygen mask, detailed front and back. Look at some of the details on this. Look, he even hand-signed it like an artist would hand-sign it. This is a beautiful, beautiful little addition to what I hope will be a pretty awesome plane when and if it ever gets finished. Keep in mind, we really haven't been able to work on it full-time due to the other obligations and getting the pond ready and stoves and trying to avoid having Karen murder me for spending too much time in the shop. Anyway, does that pilot look, they even put his head off to the side? That George, I have to tell you, that is awesome. Now, George also sent in some pictures, and these are pictures of models that George, let me take the power out of you. George is a professional modeler. There's no captions on these, but I know what they are. And these are giant scale RC lasers. Look at the detail on that pilot, the seat belt. Look at the switches. And George is for sure a master modeler. Look at the switches and little dials. Hey, there's President Nixon. I wonder what he wants. Anyway, this is a giant airplane. Oh, look, he's got even a double cockpit. Now, George typically would call me, or I'd call him, and we'd chat for an hour about different modeling techniques, and he always has something cool to add to our program, and I hope we're adding something to his program. This is a hydroplane he made for one of his customers. Look real close at the paintwork. What a profile of that. Hey, that's kind of neat. Kind of nice colors, too. Nice color for even for a stunt ship. He also sent in a tip, and I'm just going to read this off real quick. I've been using Sherwin-Williams Silicek paint additive V3K265, generally one drop to a mixture. That's typically what you use fisheye killer. It has worked great in SIG dope. No fish eyes or pinholes. Well, we'll pass that on, that's for sure. We're always looking for alternative things to keep the SIG dope flowing. Read this right off the note. The enclosed label is from a set of 4 instant-use pens. They work well on dope. High gloss enamel and epoxy with no surface preparation. $10 each from Staples. I'll just put this on. I'm going to definitely, now you can see that there are very thick versions of this, which would be nice for outlining letters. Actually, this would be great on Kenny's Nobler for using something like that. Hey, this is
this is what's really neat about the world of modeling. Just exchanging these ideas, passing them back and forth. It's really the crux of what makes this whole hobby worthwhile. This photo is of an extra 300 giant scale model. It really doesn't define its size. It's 80 inches long, 80-inch span, 15.5 pounds, powered by a Super Tiger 4500 engine. The cockpit details were made from scrap. Now this is from Giorgino too. This has really got the, for sure, this is one of the catalogs I think everybody will be interested in or want to add to their collection. Just look down here, get the number, P.O. Box 333, Remsen, New York. Anyway, just a look at some of the things that are available here. These are some of the big kits, of course, needless to say. Really, now look, we're looking for all those pictures for documentation for Brodak's Focke-Wulf 190. Hey, Cabanjak. See, catalogs, everybody knows I have a penchant for collecting catalogs and saving them and with P40, just what I just said. Oh my God, look at the Spitfire. Oh, I can't look at this. Anyway, plans, scale plans. Now see, if anybody out there looking for this kind of material, you go crazy when you can't find it. Focke-Wulf 190 stuff, when John was looking for pictures of Focke-Wulf 190s. Amazing. Dummy engines. Anyway, these are the pilots. Big variety of pilots, and you can see what George has done is he's modified one of them. Ridiculous. Just buy the catalog. This is the kind of thing. Radial engines, jets, the rivet marker. 100 rivets with one stroke of your finger. A lot of good stuff. Anybody that's a serious model, this is the kind of stuff. Different products, different services, and of course a lot of cool pictures of airplanes. Oh, this is from Bill Gibson. Acroglass. This is what they used to set gun sights and gun barrels in. Real high-tech, real high-quality epoxy. I wonder if this is similar to the stuff that I'm going to have to read this over. And believe me, I appreciate everybody that contributes into this video program or whatever you want to call what we're doing, because I can't picture life without this. I just don't know. Anyway, I'm going to check this out, and we may find a use. I'm going to find a use for this material. This certainly looks like similar to the material Pat Travers had, but you never have too many options when it comes to glues, epoxies. And Bill, I really appreciate it. This is the kind of, I don't know, kind of modeling that it's just hard not to like. Now this is the last thing we got in today's mail. Imagine this. This is from Brian McCarthy. This is a book. Brian, I don't know if you're even going to get this back. This is the kind of reading material. I start reading something like this 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I don't get to sleep. I just keep reading. Anyway, now Brian sent us that video of the boats, the wood boats with the Allison engines. And a very long, detailed letter here. Really, too long to read on the video, but just to give you an idea of what kind of a book this is. There is just some really nice stuff in here. All the variations of these engines. Look at the exhaust systems here. I assume that's the PFP38 with the rear turbos. If you have any interest in this would be a book that'll keep you up at night. This is the kind of thing I bet you, let's see, the Julian Banjak, I'll probably have it in their library, but there's just so many interesting things. And the thing that always impresses me about semi-scale is, once you get started in semi-scale, once you even start and you get a little interest in it, It seems like it's an interest that never stops growing. Hey, Tom Morris's favorite plane, the P-61. So many nice things to think about. Anyway, once you see, look at the Spitfire stuff. Just no end to it. Now, speaking of unusual planes, Larry Ladd's son, Volti XP-54. Nathan, I got to see that plane when it's finished. Look for those pictures in Stunt News, guys. I'll see if I can get Tom to print up a nice little... In fact, I'll write a little thing up for him. Until you realize the history of all the things that happened during World War II, until that history seems to make sense, it's always like a puzzle with pieces that don't fit, but... Something you don't see that often, a B-17 with V171089 engines. Prototype was destroyed as a result of an in-flight fire and the project was killed. Now look, can you imagine if that had worked out? Spinners on a B-17. Another model that would make a great semi-scale model. P-63 Air Cobra. You see, here's the kind of interesting things you never really, unless you do some of this research. Cooling system on a P-39. The air got ducted from the leading edge of the wing through the ducting and then out in a drop door behind the wing. Now see, I had never even known that. Hey, by the way, Banjock, think about something. P-51, you could put British roundels on that if you want to. And I could make an American version of the Spitfire. Hawker Typhoon, this is a plane that would make a great stunt model. Look at the cannons. A big scoop in the front. Nice molded fiberglass cowl. Nice Hawker Fury. See, this is the kind of thing, if you're interested in looking at all the details of any of these engines. Really, really great book. Brian, can't thank you enough. Beautiful picture here of the Martin Baker. This is the plane Frank McMillan and Keith Trossel made. Keith Trossel made a scale model of it. And Frank, of course, had several MB-5s. In fact, I got to fly one in 1985. Awesome. Counter-rotating props. Awesome. This is on the 96, 95, 96 Nats. We have some of the scale flying to this. And really, what book about World War II engines would be complete without some Spitfire variations? In my book, there's not many things sexier than those counter-rotating props. Oh, man. When the Seafire is making a carrier landing. And by the way, we got word that Aaronstein's Mosquito will fly soon. Getting ready to put the filler coat on it. Stripped down Spitfire. Look at this. A Marquis MC-72. Oh, look at the engine layout here. Now this airplane, if you've never noticed, had two engines. Look at the way the engines were interconnected. Oh, I tell you, Brian, you've outdone yourself. I don't think I'll get much sleep tonight. Supermarine S6. Look how thin that wing is. Predecessor to the Spitfire. See, another thing, I was looking for details on exhaust systems, which we were doing 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Could have used this book then. Look at the details. The flanges and the Siamese exhausts. Oh, these aren't. Yeah, they are Siamese. What am I talking about? Again, just a fantastic book. Something that would really hold anybody who loves this stuff their interest. Holding my interest. I just want to read real quick an excerpt. This is from Brian's letter. On the Rolls-Royce video, during World War II, Rolls actually split the Merlin production line partway down the factory floor. Engines not deemed airworthy, either because of parts not to tolerance or Merlin's return for repair after battle damage, were shunted down another line and were built as meteors for the Cromwell tank. See page 49 of the enclosed book. As ground engines, they didn't need superchargers. They'd idle all day at 250 RPM, then respond instantly when the Panzers came over the hill. They weighed about 1,400 pounds and put out about 600 horsepower. The Merlins put out a lot more horsepower, but weighed close to 1,000 pounds more because of the blower. They don't start in boats worth a damn. Bill Morgan of Morgan Marine on Lake George, which obviously that's the video that we saw a couple tapes back, whom I've known for years and is now building new hacker crafts, used to design and build racing hydroplanes. He put Merlins and Allisons in all of them and told me last year they'd often have to try to get them started on dry land and then get them in the water before they overheated. Just a lousy engine for marine applications. The Meteors, on the other hand, are sweet, and you can tell from the video. The British company overhauled that bunch in the late 50s, I believe. I'm just trying. This is a very long letter. I don't want to go into the whole detail. But anyway, absolutely unbelievable. Thank you very much, Brian. As we start this is the famous 1998 flying season. Joe Adamusco gets the first loose prop of the year. Smell like braking oil coming out of the motor. Oh. And we are ready. It's really kind of a nasty day, so we may not get to do too much, but we definitely want to get some oil. The oil on the jacket, oil on the hands, and we're ready. 1998 season. No flying before 9. It's 7:30. Let's go, Adamusco. Let's go. Bob Mark. What's your wife's name, Bob? Joyce. Joyce. You're enjoying this crummy day, huh? Oh! Joyce, Bob, Joe's just showing off here. You can appreciate. You want to be in movies? You're in movies, believe me. All right. I have been. My wife is wishing I'd move to Kansas. Anyway, we're going to try to get a flight or two on the Cardinal. But obviously no guarantee. This is not a great day. But what we really wanted to do more than anything is get some gut feelings for what's going on here. If the plane is going to be overpowered, underpowered. My gut feeling from running out the lines the first time was it's going to need a smaller handle. I got a kind of a big handle on here, but the Tigers love this cold weather. Grunting and groaning Tiger time. Last weekend it was like 87 degrees, broke the record. Everything was great.
Needless to say, we had stoves to work on this weekend. 42 degrees on the thermometer heading into the field. The king of the elliptical wings, Joe Adamusto. I would assume this is his first flight of the year too, huh?
No, we were flying in February.
Oh, you guys were flying when it was real cold?
Up in the circle, Philly flag.
Oh, Philly, yeah. Yeah. Tilt-o-matic. I hope Kyle and his father come down. They said they might be able to make it. Kyle Freeman and his father. I had them on my computer, and he said he might be able to come down. I don't know. He's involved in a lot of athletics and stuff, though. Probably on the Ukrainian soccer team or something. Oh, yeah. Love that wing. They always look so nice in the air, too. Make a nice little Spitfire. 46 size Spitfire. Repair on this, didn't he? Yeah, I remember. I wasn't here the day that they broke a prop on takeoff or something. Something happened. Yeah, that Spitfire book's a good one, Bob. I got a great book on World War II engines from Brian McCarthy. I was up reading that last night. Real neat stuff. It was Stacy's birthday yesterday, so we stayed up, had a party. And then I was all wound up. I couldn't fall asleep, you know. And I don't like to watch a lot of TV, so. Roundel.
Very good.
So what do you think, Joe? Just like the good old days, huh?
Just like the good old days.
These are the good old days.
You're going to find that out.
We'll find out in about 2 minutes here.
That's a little bit too fast. That was okay.
Yeah, you could back out a click.
Yeah.
In cold weather like this, generally you don't get all kind of real nice 2/4 brake on the motor. Arrives.
There you go.
Got that all back together, no problem?
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't look bad. Paint a stripe around it if it bothers you. You're up, Kyle. I got to change your prop on this.
There you go.
Oh, don't hurt me anymore. Don't hurt me. Look at this. Oh my God. I didn't even know it was my birthday. All right.
I've been waiting that came out sometime for you.
Fantastic. You're okay. I don't care what Kyle says on the internet. When you guys send me an internet message, it's on like a blue screen, or I can hardly read it.
That's you. We need to fix your colors. You're playing around way
It's so dark you can't read it. I had to call my wife down to read it. She says, yeah, tell him to make a white screen.
Yes, he needs to. He's fooling around.
You just missed the first flight. We got a flight on it, but the tank needs to be shimmed. It definitely needs a smaller handle. It's really high performance with that handle. Good thing we have a test pilot here. I know he'll be ready to rock. Ready to rock. Now, after the initial flight, these are the things that are looking like they're going to need to be done. I moved the tank shim up to
try to even out the motor run. It was running richer inverted. Again, I had gone about 1/8 of an inch off center, and it looks like it's about 1/4. I guess you can see the brackets right here. That looks like about where it's going to wind up. Tank looks like it's a little on the big side. Certainly the CG doesn't look like it's going to... Did the CG look good, Bob? I mean, it looked like it was turning and stopping as good as anything. And the handle was a little big, and maybe the lead-out's a little further back, but other than that, boy, it sure was close. Pleasant surprise. Let's see. Oh, my, a yellow one. Yeah. All right. Oh, yellow. I'll tell you, these Freeman boys, they know how to get books. Yeah, that's a nice one. Black. The only thing with that, you know, if you made a plane like that in the sun, that thing, you couldn't even pick it up. Look at this.
Yeah, you just got to fly it on days like today.
Where do you see that book with the motors, Joe? They were using those British motors, the ones without superchargers, the V12s, in tanks. The guy up in New England was putting them in boats, wooden boats, these antique wooden boats. Awesome. All right, Kyle, ready. You need a little lighter fluid, Kyle?
It's been a while since this motor's been run.
Put a little lighter fluid in the Venturi. First run, couple of drops of lighter fluid. There's some in my box too, bud. On a real cold day, it's 42 degrees here, so. When Detavio and I were flying, we had more lighter fluid than fuel. Now watch, it'll start without the battery with that stuff. Prop.
Strip all the thing off. Get everything.
Now, when it's cold like this, that motor's always going to have to run richer. You guys were flying on a warm day.
Okay.
All right? Anytime it's colder, try to remember, if it's colder, before you even start the motor, back out on the needle.
Okay.
That's you know, otherwise you get a lean run. Air is really bumpy here. Just be careful. Now, it's real important. We got some good preliminary data, even though we only have one flight on the little Cardinal. We know the tank has to be moved, and we've already moved it. The lead-outs possibly will be going back. I want to do one thing at a time. I'll move the lead-outs back on the next flight and desensitize the handle. In other words, move the cable toward my hand just a little bit. And we're rotating every third flight, which is real nice. This way we get a little chance to write down. I have a little log book, write out all the changes I'm making. Seems like the tank might be a little on the big side also. We'll try to get some video sooner or later here. Anyway, it's good to have Bob Martens with us. He's originally from Kansas City, I don't know, Topeka. And then Utah. And now, of course, working for Boeing. He's responsible for all the plans that we've drawn and the Spitfires and Brodak Cardinal, actually, too. So it's good to have him on board. Good to be sharing the day with him. I love this view. The view. Now, one of my thoughts is today, you really can't do what I would call precision stunt patterns. The air here is really bumpy, and if you notice the wing coming around, you're going to see it's bumping and thumping and getting hit by bowling balls and whatever. But one of the things you can do today, and this is a really significant thing to understand, you can take care of a lot of the little trim changes, like getting the motor to run the same up and down, trying to get a handle setting. So now what happens when you do have a good flyable warm day that you're not in your sealskin coat, what happens, you have a lot of this stuff more or less put in the bank. And that's what we're striving for today, is with Joe's eye, Bob's eye,
maybe get Kyle to shoot some video later, get Joe to shoot some video. What it is you can get a lot of these things sorted out that normally you would be wasting a perfectly good day. This way you're gaining a good day by wasting a bad day like today, doing some of these rough, what I'll call rough trim. And we wanted to get some footage on the trim video that we're shooting, but the problem is, again, this kind of a day, you really can't fine-tune things, but you can get a lot of the rough things. In other words, you'll always know, no matter how rough the air is, if it runs richer inverted than upright, which is the case on the first flight, I can tell right away the CG is real close to being where it should be. The prop has a little bit too much pitch and the leadouts are a little bit too far forward. But other than that, it seemed like a real ballpark, real easy to fly plane, and my feeling is it isn't going to be of much value if it only feels good to me. It's got to feel good to people like Kyle, like Joe, like Bob, and I want to hopefully get as many people over the course of the season to get flights on the plane so they can give me feedback and I can kind of feel like, well, that it would suit a lot of different levels, skill levels of people. It really felt like a nice plane. It had that nice true feeling. But again, you know a lot more when you can get many people to fly it, and because it's going to be a kit real soon, I'm hoping that any little fine-tuning that has to be done. For instance, if right now we found out it was too nose heavy, I might want to shorten the nose a half an inch. Or I might want to do something else that would somehow change it. You can see the errors. In fact, we probably aren't going to get a whole lot more done. The air is just really getting nasty here. But we did get an initial flight, and I guess that's a significant thing anyway. Just being able to get that flight through the wing rocking around. It just gets too dangerous to even fly at some point in time. And it looks like we're at that point right now. Looks nice too. The profile from the pilot's view is just spectacular.
Alright, Wendy's second flight. Boy, let me tell you what, this is some wind. Called the camera stuff.
Now you can see from the footage, one of the first things I'm going to do is replace the handle cable. I'm going to move it down a couple of notches. In fact, I'll move it all the way. It really was touchy. I'll start at the other end of this, and I have to replace the cable with these handles. Of course, you just clip one end and slide a new cable through, but that's, you can see from the footage that we just shot, Kyle shot that footage, that it's a little bit over controlling. So these are the things you can take care of on a really bad day. You can get this all out of the way. Now with the handle all in the desensitized position, these are things, rough trim I can get out of the way, even in this rough air. I can get rid of some of these major things, and it still needs, I have to go look at my notes, it still needs to run leaner inverted. It's still richer inverted than upright. So I'll make those two little changes and try to get another plate. Okay, now with the handle adjusted, the tank is up even a little bit more. In fact, I'm almost out of adjustment here pretty soon. I'll try one more time. The year started out bad and it's getting progressively worse. We really had some adventures on the last couple of flights. But the truth is we are getting some of the rough tuning done, like the handle. And now I kind of know what direction I want most of these things to go in, and it's so important that I'm not losing. Had this been a really nice flyable day, I'd like to have this kind of in the ballpark tune so I can go flying. Yeah, wind just it isn't really even wind, it's the turbulence at this field that tells you. It just bounces, and you don't want to get too dangerous. You don't want to get too cute. But we do have some flights, and I'll tell you right now, I am real positive and happy about the way it's turned out. As an overall project, it's added a whole new dimension of fun to the hobby for me. And once I get familiar with this motor and do some prop testing and it seems like the tank is too big, so what I'm going to probably get John to send me a smaller tank, maybe a 4-ounce. I don't know. We definitely don't need a 5-ounce tank for that motor the way it's running today. And it's cold. It's only going to lose less fuel on a hot day. And so far, it seems like a friendly little motor. It doesn't seem like it's difficult to start or difficult to needle. A nice little package. Again, I don't know how much longer we're going to go through this, but hey, we always try to get what we can get. See, once you drive the hour down here, then you're kind of committed. You kind of have to make things work. Or at least go home with something in the bank. And either way, we're going to go home today knowing roughly where the handle should be set, roughly where we are in terms of the prop and a tank, possibly get ourselves a smaller tank. It's really too bumpy and lumpy to even do any prop testing at all. I don't even want to think about that today. I just want to get through. And one thing that looks right is it looks like we've really hit the moment arms real close. It really has a nice hard corner and a nice consistent lock after the corner. And usually that's an indication of an overall good design. The only thing we have had is one of the landings was really an adventure. I don't know if Kyle got it on the video. We came into the wind and it just, because it's a light plane, relatively light, it just stopped in midair and just came down like there was a parachute attached to the canopy or something. But it's really good to be out flying and getting greasy, and well, you don't know, when you spend the whole winter, I haven't been flying in 6 months. You miss it. You miss the oil. You miss the grit. You miss that boring ride home. There we go. Come on, Joe. I see, according to our little thermometer, it's warmed up to 43 degrees, so we'll probably be putting our shorts on soon, or our sandals, and where the hell is El Nino when you need him, you know? We're out here like Eskimos.
least one thing, we beat the rain. They said it was going to rain all day today. At least we beat the rain. Musco, the king of the elliptical rings.
See if we can handle the wind any better than we can.
I'd like to build a 60-side Bucks lot. I like the way that airplane looks, from the handle.
Oh, it's got a cool profile. That's cool. I like the way the fuselage looks. And the wing, oh man.
Well, the next one will be better. Up here when I started to work on those elliptical ones.
That was one of your first?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could build a wing like that for the first. Pretty neat stuff. I got my wing, I got it all covered. It's, I'm just now putting on the coats of clear on it right now, just on the tissue. So, I'm gonna go to Steve's and we'll get that to silver. That'll be cool. Bear's Corner. Well, I mean, tell you what, I think he walked him a little bit. That's the way to practice something. kidding. Twisting the lines.
Yeah, that can be a problem. Cutting up your control, coming into the wind.
My right hand is frozen. It's molded to the camera now. How cold do you think it is?
Well, this wind chill, it's probably in the high 30s, I think.
It is cold.
Nice landing! Nice air, Joe. You're missing all this good air. I don't know.
Okay, we know the tank is even going to have to go a little bit higher here, maybe. For sure. And possibly a smaller tank. I would think that's the thing we've learned more than anything else today. Smaller tank, smaller handle.
Anytime I get back from a flying session, the first thing I like to do is get some final shine out or some wax or sludge or whatever. Get the plane all cleaned up. The purpose of this is as I'm cleaning it, I can look to see if I put any fingernail marks or dings or whatever in the plane. Being it's a new plane, we're still kind of conscious of keeping it clean. The other thing is that while we were flying, in fact, where do I have it? I made up a list of all the things. In fact, I kind of go over the list in my mind on the way home of things that I want to do to the plane, things that I want to check. Now remember, the first thing, I moved the tank almost as far, but I guess I could go a little more. But I think this is not going to be the final tank that works out on the plane, so I'm going to think about during the week coming up, basically what some of my choices are. I also want to think about trying a little extra tip weight. I have the handle closed down. I want to get the 3-bladed prop on there to test the 3-bladed prop and a 3-bladed spinner. That's another thing I can put on here. But basically, if I use the time, when you're home from a session like this, especially if you make yourself a nice set of notes, what happens is you won't forget any of these things. How many times I used to go all the way back to the field and say, oh, I wanted to, whatever that thing was. Well, right now is the time to do it. And there are a couple little things that one by one I want to go over them and I want to get it so it's ready. Pretty much we're going to try to fly every Saturday morning now. Kyle, Joe Adamusco, Bob, and myself. So that next Saturday morning I'm ready. As soon as we open up the van, we get him an hour or two of nice air, I can get some flying in on this guy. And he was good. For a first day out of flying, believe me, I'm real happy. It worked out very well today. And I did get a lot of things accomplished today that I will not have to waste a really good flying day now to do that stuff.
this case I had 7 things that I wanted to try to do. And of course, the sooner I can do them, even if I can't finish these all today, just being able to have a reference list, because let's face it, later on in the week, I'm going to forget this stuff. I forget it by tonight. Have a little list, keep a little list in a toolbox. Now, we're going to be working with Kyle this year, and I suggested to Kyle, get a little notebook. Get ready, get prepared. All of these things are things that if you do them at home, it's a lot easier, for instance, to make up a new tank at home than it is at the field. Change the prop setup, a lot easier to do it at home. A lot of these little trim things are just super easy to do in the shop and a real pain to do, especially when the air is good and you don't want to be missing any good air. A list. A list is a very important thing to have. Now, the general rule I use for tip weight is I start about, I guess we had 1.5 ounces in here, legit. But what I want to do, I haven't seen any wing banging, and I want to up this just a little bit. Now, until you see a wing banging, you can just add tip weight, little by little by little. And in this case, we have that little Brodak box. I need to take out a shim of one of these balsa shims and just replace it with one of the lead shims. We certainly at this point didn't have too much tip weight. So we'll add a small piece, 1/4 ounce. In each session, add 1/4 ounce. At some point in time, it's going to bang the wing and drop the wing and yaw, at which case we're at the maximum amount for that length of lines. Now, I usually get these tip weights 1/4 ounces and 1/2 ounce. It's good to do a 1/4 ounce change at a time. Now, for instance, if the wing were to bang now with an extra 1/4 ounce, I wouldn't go back to having 0. I'd cut one of these weights in half. If it's still banged, I'd cut that then in half. Always be dividing the amount from where it doesn't bang to where you want to find that edge. Where it bangs a wingtip, doesn't bang a wingtip, keep zeroing in on it toward the middle. Eventually you'll have it real close, and that'll only, of course, work for that set of lines. Longer lines, you're going to need more tip weight. Shorter lines, less tip weight. Now, a real important part is I have balsa shims in there to keep those weights from bouncing around. I don't want to have those weights moving around at all. See, at least now we know what direction this trim job is going to go in. Now what's happened is, here's our profile body. What's happened is we've moved the mass of the tank up much higher than the center of gravity. This is the mass of the tank. So what in effect has happened, it's generating a force that's pushing this wing down. So in level flight now, to compensate for that, at least temporarily till we get a final tank shim, we're going to put a little tab out here. We follow through what this is doing because this is important. Now, you don't really want to go tweaking flaps yet or anything. We want the plane to be flying off the center line. But that tank now, the whole tank is above the center line, and it's pushing that. In level flight, it's tending to do that. In inverted flight, it's picking it up. Of course, the opposite is true in inverted flight. What's happening in inverted flight, it's picking that wing up. So to compensate for that, I'm going to make up a little tab out of a tin can stock or a piece of copper and just tape it in place till we go to the next phase of trim. Just look how much of that tank is above the glow plug. Almost the whole tank is above now. And again, this may vary and change. That's why I want to do this with a little tape-on tab until I get everything finalized, and I'm sure that tank is one of the things that's not fine-tuned yet. Now, if you make up a little piece of tin, a tab like this, here's the advantage of this. You don't want to go tweaking flaps. What you want to do is get that to set right in that crevice. Now, if this isn't big enough, if we need it bigger, of course we can just reverse it and run it that way. We have two choices. You don't want to bend it right down the middle. That limits your choices. Let that sit right in there, and I'll just run a piece of Scotch tape across it for now. This is just a temporary thing. When we have the exact fine-tuning on the tank and this are going to go hand in hand. Then we'll paint it yellow or put two little recessed blind nuts in here or something, make it a permanent part of the plane. Or if we want to take it off, we have the option of just taking it off if we wind up with a tank or a motor combination where this gets more in alignment. And you want to make sure this isn't interfering with the flap, of course.
A little wrinkle out of there.
And this is just ordinary hinge line tape. And that'll temporarily hold that in place until the next time we have to trim it. Well, that's all we got time for. See you on the next tape and we'll finish this job.